You ever get blindsided so bad that for a minute you forget how to breathe? Like the whole damn world just tilts sideways, and you're left standing there wondering how the hell you were so stupid? Yeah, that's where my story starts. Name's Chase Walker. 35 years old. Tech consultant. Decent money, decent life. Or so I thought. I wasn't some hotshot with a yacht and a Rolex addiction, but I built my life with my own two hands. Steady job, small house outside Houston, a truck that actually started most days, and a woman I thought I'd spend the rest of my life with. Samantha, Sam for short. The girl who stole my heart at a 4th of July barbecue 7 years back, when she smoked me in a beer pong tournament and kissed me so hard I forgot my own damn name. We were together for 8 years, married for 5. Everyone said we were the couple that made it, the couple that beat the odds, the couple that had it figured out. Hell, I believed it too, until Tyler showed up. Tyler Dean, the so-called work buddy. The guy always hanging around, just a little too friendly, just a little too available. At first, I didn't think twice. When you trust someone, really trust someone, you don't start seeing monsters in every shadow. You believe them when they say, he's just a friend. You laugh it off when you hear, Tyler said the funniest thing today. You swallow that gut feeling when she lights up talking about how amazing Tyler is at his job. You tell yourself you're just being insecure, because that's what love does. It makes you blind as hell. Then came the conference. 3 days in Austin. Nothing fancy. Boring tech panels, bad hotel coffee. Endless schmoozing with people who smell like desperation and overpriced cologne. Sam couldn't come, said she was swamped at work. So I FaceTime her every night, sent dumb selfies from the conference center. Even brought her back a stupid souvenir mug she said she liked. Everything felt normal, until it didn't. I landed back home Friday morning, grabbed a coffee, rolled straight into the office to catch up on emails. Around 3 o'clock, Sam walked in. No warning, no smile, no hello kiss. Just stormed into my office like she was about to shoot the place up. Phone clutched so tight her knuckles were white. Eyes red-rimmed, jaw tight. Before I could even stand, she shoved the phone in my face. Explain this. And there it was. Me, clear as day, on video, kissing some woman I'd never seen before in the lobby of the hotel where I stayed. Same damn clothes I wore. Same stupid way I tilt my head when I kiss. It was me, only it wasn't. I actually laughed, because it was insane. Sam, I said, heart pounding, this isn't real. You know I wouldn't. Don't you dare lie to me, she snapped, her voice cracking like a whip. Her hand shook, but she didn't lower the phone. Same suit you packed. Same hotel. Same stupid grin. How dumb do you think I am, Chase? I scrambled, pulled at my phone, digging through my location history. FaceTime records. Room service charges. Anything. I never even left my room after work. I said, shoving the evidence toward her, but she barely looked. I can't do this, she whispered, backing away like I was some stranger who just spat in her face. I can't be with someone who lies straight to my face. Right then, my office phone rang. I picked up out of instinct. It was Tyler. Bro, he said, voice dripping with fake concern. Sam just called me bawling. Man, what the hell's going on? Is there anything I can do? And that's when it hit me like a goddamn sledgehammer to the chest. Tyler set me up. He had access to everything. My schedule, our home, our trust, and he used it all to light a match and burn my world to ash. And Sam, she didn't even hesitate. She didn't question it. She didn't fight for me. Because Tyler got to her first. Because somewhere deep down, she wanted to believe it. I stood there in that office, phone dead in my hand, marriage crumbling to dust at my feet, and realized sometimes the person you trust the most is the one holding the match the whole damn time. Funny how fast a life can unravel. 1 second you're standing solid, thinking you built something real, something unshakable, and the next you're watching it rot from the inside out, wondering how long the termites have been chewing at the foundation while you smile like a goddamn idiot and call to home. Sam left that night. No bags. No goodbye. Just the sound of tires spitting gravel as she tore out of the driveway like the house was on fire and she was saving herself. And maybe she was. Maybe I was the one still too stupid to realize I'd been standing in the flames long before the smoke ever reached my eyes. I didn't sleep. Not that night. Not for a long time after. Just sat on the floor of our living room. No, not ours anymore. Staring at the blank TV screen like it might flicker to life and show me where everything went wrong. The walls were too quiet, without her yelling from the kitchen about how bad I was at loading the dishwasher. The couch was too empty without her socks balled up in the corner, like some forgotten piece of her I hadn't had the heart to throw away. And the bed. Jesus Christ, the bed. It might as well have been a slab of concrete for how much it hurt to lie down in it alone. The text started rolling in the next day. First from her. I'm staying with friends. I need space. Don't call. Then from mutuals. People we used to laugh with over beers and barbecue. People who didn't even wait to hear my side. Saw the video, man. Sorry. You broke her heart. Bro thought you were better than that. Guess you weren't who we thought you were. Every ping felt like a hammer blow. Every notification, another piece of me peeling away. I stopped answering after the third one. Stopped reading after the fifth. What was the point? They already made up their minds. Truth didn't mean shit when a good story was easy to believe. I thought Tyler might gloat. Thought he'd at least have the balls to show his face. But he stayed silent. Kept to the shadows like the snake he was. And maybe that was worse. Maybe the quiet told me everything the lies didn't. Because the kind of betrayal that cuts the deepest isn't the one that screams and fights and throws punches. It's the one that smiles in your face while it slips the knife between your ribs. A week later, I came home from a 12-hour shift at a job I hated even more than usual to find an envelope taped to the front door. My name scrawled across it. Inside, divorce papers. No note, no apology. Just a cold, mechanical severing of what was left of our so-called life together. Just a lawyer's letterhead and a list of demands that made it clear she wasn't just leaving. She was going to bleed me dry on the way out. She wanted the house. She wanted the truck. She wanted half of a retirement fund I hadn't even gotten a chance to grow yet. Like taking my heart was enough. She had to take the wreckage too. Salt the earth so nothing could ever grow there again. I laughed. Or maybe it was more like a choke. Maybe it was the sound a man makes when the last thing he was holding on to slips through his fingers, and he realizes the only thing left is his own two fists and the stubborn beat of his heart that refuses to quit. I crumpled the papers in my hands and tossed them into the kitchen trash like yesterday's coffee grounds. I didn't even bother calling her lawyer. Didn't bother fighting. Because you can't win a war when the other side already burned your flag and pissed on the ashes. Instead, I did something better. I started packing. The house that once felt too big for two now felt too damn small for the ghost of a marriage that wasn't ever solid as I thought. I boxed up memories like they were toxic waste. Wedding photos, vacation mugs, stupid anniversary cards with inside jokes that tasted bitter now instead of sweet. I didn't cry, not because it didn't hurt, because I knew if I started, I might never stop. You don't just lose everything in one day. You lose it piece by piece. Trust first, then laughter, then the little things, the casual touches, the nicknames, the shared dreams whispered in the dark, until one morning you wake up and realize the only thing left to fight for is your own damn pride. And even that's hanging by a thread. When I finally slammed the last box into the bed of my truck, the sun was rising, bleeding red across the horizon like a fresh scar. Seemed fitting. Some days don't end. Some days just bleed into the next, raw and ugly, until you stop checking the date and start counting the scars instead. I didn't leave a note. Didn't leave a forwarding address. Didn't leave anything. Because sometimes the best revenge isn't screaming or fighting or begging them to understand. Sometimes the best revenge is surviving and making damn sure they never get to hear how you did it. The thing about hitting rock bottom is that nobody tells you it doesn't make a sound. No big crash. No fireworks. Just a slow, miserable settling, like the mud around your boots when you're standing waist deep in a swamp. Too numb to even remember what dry land felt like. After I left the house, after I packed what little pride and fewer possessions I had left into the back of my battered truck, I drifted through the city like a damn ghost. No destination. No plan. Just cheap motel rooms with mildew-stained curtains and buzzing neon signs that made it impossible to sleep even if the nightmares didn't already keep me awake. Nights blurred into mornings, blurred into nights again. I ate greasy takeout until I could barely taste it anymore. Slept in jeans that reeked of sweat and hopelessness. Looked at myself in the cracked motel mirror and didn't recognize the man staring back. It wasn't grief anymore. It was something heavier. Something sharper, like every lie she told, every betrayal he committed, welded itself into a set of chains wrapped tight around my chest. And every morning, I had to decide if I was going to let those chains pull me under, or if I was going to start sawing through them with my bare goddamn hands. The first real crack of light came out of nowhere. Some buddy from work. Guy named Mason, rough around the edges roofer, who spoke mostly in grunts and curse words, knocked on my motel door one morning before I even had my boots laced. "Get up," he said. "Why?" "Got a side gig. Pays cash. You in or you going to sit here and rot?" I didn't ask questions. Didn't care what the job was. Cash was cash. And at that point, I was 2 missed motel payments away from sleeping in my truck permanently. So I threw on my jacket, grabbed my busted toolbox, and followed him out to a half-dead property on the edge of town where some rich out-of-towner wanted a barn rehab before winter. The work was brutal. Sheet metal slicing open my hands. Splinters digging into my palms like the earth itself was punishing me. Cold wind knifing through my jacket until my bones ached. But it felt good. Real. Honest. Every nail I hammered. Every board I set straight. Every bolt I tightened. It was mine. Out there in the biting wind. With dirt under my nails and sweat burning my eyes, I remembered something I'd almost let Sam and Tyler steal from me. I was still alive, still breathing, still fighting. Maybe not for the life I used to have, but for the man I was going to become. After a couple weeks of side gigs, my savings stopped hemorrhaging. I moved out of the motel and into a crummy one-bedroom apartment over a pawn shop. Smelled like cat piss and fried food. The faucet dripped no matter how tight you turned it. The heater coughed like an old man with lung cancer. But it was mine. No memories of her here. No ghosts whispering accusations in the dark. Just me, my tools, and a mattress on the floor. The days got a little easier. Not good. Not happy. But bearable. I kept my head down. Worked. Saved. Cut out the mutual friends who chose to believe the worst. Blocked her number. Blocked us too. Not out of spite anymore. Out of necessity. Out of survival. Some people are poison, and the smartest thing you could do is stop drinking from the well and find a new damn river. Then, one night, 2 months after I hit the bottom and started clawing my way back up, Mason slid a beer across the bar to me and said, "You hear about Tyler?" I shook my head. Didn't want to. Didn't care. Or at least, that's what I told myself. But he kept talking. Because news like this don't stay quiet long in towns like ours. Turns out, Mr. Perfect Tyler Dean, the golden boy who rescued Sam from the big bad cheater, had been screwing around behind her back less than 6 months into their happy little fairy tale. Some intern at his new job, barely 22, fresh out of college. Didn't know the first thing about loyalty. Not that Tyler ever taught it by example. Sam found out the hard way. Walked in on them in the back seat of her own goddamn car, according to Mason's very reliable, very drunk source. She screamed. He shrugged. Said it just happened. Classic Tyler. No guilt. No remorse. No spine. Word was, she tried to salvage it. Tried to play it cool. Tried to forgive him. Because that's what desperate people do when they realize they burned every bridge worth a damn. And the last piece of driftwood they're clinging to is starting to rot from the inside out. But Tyler? He moved on before she could even say, "I forgive you." Packed up, ghosted her, took the intern to Vegas on a weekend bender that left Sam crying into a bottle of cheap vodka in her empty apartment. Mason said it like it was some funny punchline, like it was poetic justice. Maybe it was. Maybe it should have felt sweet. But sitting there in that bar, listening to her downfall unfold, I didn't feel vindicated. I didn't feel victorious. I just felt tired. Bone deep tired. Because revenge ain't a meal worth eating when you're the only one left at the table. Still, I won't lie. When I climbed into my truck later that night, the radio crackling some old country ballad about cheating hearts and burned-out dreams, I smiled a little. Not because she was hurting, not because he was gone, but because for the first time in months, I wasn't the one drowning anymore. It's a strange kind of power, the moment you realize you don't owe anyone your pain anymore. Not your tears, not your apologies, not your second chances. Especially not the people who tried to bury you in the first place. After that night at the bar, after hearing what happened to Sam and Tyler, something inside me clicked. Not a clean snap, like a broken bone. More like the slow, grinding shift of tectonic plates deep under the earth. Subtle at first, then unstoppable. I stopped living like a ghost. Started picking up real work. Steady jobs with better paying guys who didn't look at me like I was some charity case on the verge of collapse. I learned how to drywall like a damn pro. Framed a couple houses from the ground up. Picked up plumbing tricks from Mason that saved me thousands later. Started stacking cash in a shoebox under my bed again. Only this time it wasn't for survival. It was for something bigger. One rainy Thursday, standing on the side of some half-finished McMansion development that smelled like wet concrete and bad decisions, it hit me. I didn't just want to survive anymore. I wanted to thrive. I wanted to build something that no one could touch. No matter how many lies they told. No matter how many knives they threw at my back. So I made a decision right there, hammer in hand, mud splattered up to my knees. I was getting the hell out of Houston. That night, after a long hot shower and a cold beer on the shitty apartment balcony, I pulled out my laptop, opened a map, and just started looking. No plan. No idea what I was searching for. Until I found it, almost by accident. A listing for a couple acres of land up north, just outside a sleepy town nobody had ever heard of, tucked between two mountains and a river, so clear you could see the stones glittering on the bottom like treasure. Cheap too. Probably because nobody sane wanted to be that far off the grid. But me? It sounded perfect. I put in an offer that night. Cash. No loans. No cosigners. No permission slips. No more putting my life in anyone else's dirty hands. The next morning, the realtor called and said it was mine. 3 weeks later, I packed everything I owned into my truck, which wasn't much, just the essentials, and drove out of Houston without so much as a goodbye to the city that watched me bleed. No ceremony. No final looks in the rear view. Just a steady hum of tires on asphalt and the silent promise to myself that I wasn't running away anymore. I was running toward something. Something real. Something mine. The land was wild when I got there. Tall grass swallowing my boots. Mosquitoes the size of my thumb. An old, rotted shed that leaned so hard it looked like it was praying for death. No house. No fence. No neighbors for miles. Just open sky and possibility. And for the first time in what felt like a lifetime, I could breathe. The first night, I slept in my truck, parked under a sky so full of stars it looked like somebody had spilled a bag of diamonds across black velvet. No city lights. No noise. Just the crackle of the river in the distance and the sound of my own heartbeat slowing down for the first time in years. I slept like the dead. Mornings were rough at first. Cold coffee from a camp stove. Washing up in the river. Chopping wood with a second-hand axe that bit deeper into my hands and the logs. But it didn't feel like punishment. It felt like penance. Like all the mistakes, all the heartbreak, all the betrayal. It was finally burning out of me, sweat and smoke and muscle memory hammering it into the dirt where it belonged. Over the next few months, I built a cabin with my own hands. No fancy plans. No hired help. Just me, a pile of salvage lumber, and a stubbornness thicker than concrete. It wasn't pretty. Hell, some days it felt like the damn thing might fall over if I sneezed too hard. But it was real. It was mine. Every nail driven. Every board set. Every night spent under a leaking roof cursing myself for being too proud to hire someone better. It was all mine. I worked through rain, through blisters, through nights so cold my breath froze in the air before it hit the ground. And every day the cabin rose a little higher, the walls a little sturdier, the roof a little more solid. And every day I could feel myself getting stronger too. Not just my hands, not just my back, my heart, the part of me they thought they killed, the part of me they thought would stay broken forever. Sometimes at night, sitting on the half-finished porch, drinking bad coffee and watching the fireflies blink through the trees, I'd think about Sam, wonder if she missed me, wonder if she even remembered the man she tore apart, wonder if she still blamed me for a life she was too scared to build on her own. But the thoughts never lasted long. Not anymore. Because the truth is, I didn't need her memory. I didn't need her apology. I didn't need her regret. I had something better. I had myself. The thing they never tell you about starting over is that it's not one big heroic moment. No fireworks, no swelling music. It's 1,000 tiny choices stacked on top of each other, like bricks in a wall no one else will ever see. I finished the cabin 6 months after I first broke ground. The roof still leaks sometimes when the storms rolled in heavy from the mountains. The front steps creaked like an old man's knees. The fireplace smoked more than it should because I didn't know a damn thing about building chimneys when I started. But none of that mattered, because every flaw, every crooked nail, every scrape on my hands was a reminder. I built this life from nothing. Nobody handed it to me. Nobody saved me, especially not her. Somewhere along the line, I stopped counting days since I left Houston. Stopped checking my phone for messages that never came. Stopped thinking about Sam at all, except in a way you remember a scar. Not because it hurts anymore, but because of the part of the map that led you here. I started picking up odd jobs around the town closest to my land. Fixing fences, wiring barns, patching up roofs when the weather ripped them apart. The locals didn't ask questions, didn't pry, didn't give a damn about the mess I left behind. They cared if you showed up on time, if you kept your word, if you worked hard. And that was enough for me. Hell, it was more than enough. One evening, after a long day re-shingling a storm-battered shed, I sat on my porch, beer in hand, watching the sun bleed itself out over the horizon, and for the first time in a long damn time, I felt it. Peace. Not happiness. Not the loud, chest-thumping kind people chasing bars and Instagram posts. No, this was quieter, stronger. The kind of peace that comes from knowing you walked through hell, and instead of lying down and letting it swallow you, you kept going. It was sometime after dark when the buzzing started. My old phone, the one I kept shoved in a drawer, mostly dead, mostly forgotten, rattled against it like a trapped bug. At first, I ignored it. Whatever it was, it could wait. But some old, stubborn piece of me dragged me inside to check it anyway. 2 missed calls, both from an unfamiliar number, and a voicemail. I hesitated, thumb hovering over the button. Then curiosity won. Sam's voice crackled through the speaker, tinny and small, like a ghost that didn't know it was dead yet. Hey, Chase, I don't even know if you still have this number. I heard you moved. Heard you're doing okay. I'm happy for you. I want to say I'm sorry. For everything. I wish things were different. I wish I'd made better choices. You deserve better. You deserve someone who could see how good you are. There was a long pause, just static in her breathing, and then, I hope you find everything you ever wanted. I really do. Goodbye. Click. Dead air. I stood there for a long time, the phone heavy in my hand. Not angry, not sad, not even tempted to call back. Because the truth was, I had found everything I ever wanted. It wasn't a person, wasn't revenge, wasn't some vindication shoved in her face. It was this life, this land, this peace, this version of me that no betrayal could kill, no lie could bury, no apology could rewrite. I didn't save the voicemail, didn't listen to it again, just deleted it, turned the phone off, and shoved it back into the drawer where it belonged, buried under manuals and old receipts and all the other junk from a life I didn't live anymore. That night, I built a fire outside, watched the sparks spiral up into the cold, clear sky, thought about everything I lost, thought about everything I gained, realized, maybe for first time, that sometimes a real victory isn't getting an apology. It's not watching them crash and burn without you. It's not making them regret ever letting you go. It's building a life so good, so strong, so untouchable. They never even get close enough to see it. I leaned back in my chair, stared up at the stars, and smiled. Not for her. Not for them. For me. For the man who refused to stay broken. For the man who learned that sometimes the best thing you can do is walk away and never look back.